Let's start out, and let me just say warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for coming to join us today. I am, if you couldn't tell, hunkered down in the basement. This is my normal home workspace. I've got my Glowforge right there, pile of junk on top of it, and all the stuff I appropriated from our office video setup, where we normally use for live streams and everything. This is all going through my phone. So it's exciting. The Shapiro household, we've been hunkered down here for 7-8 months, I guess. I'm not sure. I think we're on week number 2. Homeschooling the kids, which is never something we thought we'd need to do. And basically doing my job as best I can from right here in the basement. Almost everybody at Glowforge is working from home. We're not at shelter in place yet where everybody's required to, but all but about 5 people are working from home. Only the 5 people who need access to the materials in the office are there. We're going in and using heavy machinery. We're handling stuff that R&D that can only be done on site, and everybody else is working from home to keep them safe, so they can practice social distancing and spread out at the office. We've been dealing with this a day at a time. We have folks overseas who we've had to take care of. We have folks who've been symptomatic who we've had to get help and attention to, and it is a sobering time for all of us. But you know, the biggest change, I think, for everybody is this notion that we may be at home for a while and for a long while. And as somebody at Glowforge pointed out, we should be social distancing, but not socially distant. It's important for us to be together and to be connected. So I took a little longer than folks from other companies to write something because I wrote so much, because it took a while. I didn't want to react impulsively, and I didn't want to send you something that was a buttoned up piece of corporate speak. So I wanted to send something out to share my thoughts and feelings about where we're at, and my thoughts and feelings about how all of us together can help make things better. We're also just starting to pull together some resources for makers who might actually be able to help. I know this is going to be a hot topic of conversation, and I wanted to start out by letting you know we've been in contact with a number of hospitals, doctors, makers, and folks associated with them. We're looking for opportunities where creators like each and every one of you can help with a crisis by producing face masks or splash shields or anything else that would help. So far, we haven't found the opportunity where we can say, here is a medical organization or professional who needs something that you can produce. I think that time will come. So we just set up makecovidstop.org. When I say just set up, the domain name is probably still propagating. Right now, it just takes you directly to a Google Sheet where you can go sign up and let us know if you'd like to be notified if there's a way to help. Or if you're a medical professional, it lets you sign up and tell us if you have any specific needs that makers in your community or around the country or world might be able to help with. So we'll post that to the forum as well. You might need to wait until tomorrow to be able to get into it, but you can try right now at makecovidstop.org. We're also working with folks at Formlabs and other fabrication companies to keep in touch and learn if there's anything that can be done or anything they come across, both from a technical perspective in terms of things they can make that might help, and from a resource perspective in terms of who needs those resources.
Dan,
so
is that .org or .com?
It is .org.
Okay.
I will probably register the .com later and redirect it over, but right now it is makecovidstop.org.
Okay, it's there in the chat now. People are just asking. Wonderful.
Great, thanks for checking. So Bailey, do you want to look, if anybody would like to ask questions, do you want to let them know how to do that? How this is going to work?
Absolutely. So there's a chat. You should be able to see. It looks like there's about almost 100 of us here right now. Wow. And so there's a lot of you there. And so one thing, this is one of my first Zoom meetings. We're just sort of adopting those for the first time this week. So when you type 2, you have the option of a click down to message either individuals or just panelists or just attendees. I would try to message everyone unless you're just trying to message Dan and I individually, but I'm going to be keeping my eye on the public chat. So let's try to keep everything in there. So Katie Berryhill saying, hi Dan, my son Brian is proud to have one of the accounts you follow on Instagram, which is Into the Woodshop. He's looking for a new idea of something to make on the Glowforge to make a video of for his YouTube channel, and because his Glowforge videos do the best.
Oh, that's awesome.
So cool.
You know, the thing that I find that people love is when there's something that is special and exciting to you, especially something that solves a personal problem and something really connected to your interests. And then you show people how you do it, because even if they don't have that same particular itch to scratch, seeing how you can make something that is truly yours and that's truly special is inspirational to folks. So you can go show how to make a, I don't know, I was making a trebuchet with the kids a while ago, made a cool video out of it that launched little laser cut cows. But that to pick the project I'm working on right now, the webcam holder that is exactly sized to the make and model of webcam that I have. This random little pan and tilt thing I have that goes together, and it's going to sit right in the middle so that I'm looking people in the eye instead of when I'm video chatting, looking at them like, you know, down at the screen while they're there. That's really neat because it's something that's uniquely yours. And if people see how you can make it, then you can take that and either reproduce it if you have the same need, or do something completely different that is that matches what you want. So that's what I'd recommend. Find that itch to scratch. And all else failing, trebuchets are pretty cool. So, you know, maybe try that.
I see.
Shane Cows, did you watch The Holy Grail first? My children have not yet seen The Holy Grail, but we did see Life of Brian, and that's next on the list.
Heck yes. When I was traveling in the UK over the summer, I got to go to a couple of the castles that are made famous by the Monty Python movies, which was really cool. They sold coconut shells, obviously.
Can we put somebody on audio who has their hand up? I want to try that out.
Oh, sure. So if you have a question to ask verbally.
I see 3 hands up. I don't know if you...
Marjorie, I'm going to put you on, okay?
Marjorie, is this Zabas from the forums?
She's still muted. I think you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi, sorry.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, wow, nice to meet you.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a question. So before I have the Glowforge, which I love, I have to say thank you so much for creating this magnificent machine. I'm part of a big Silhouette community. I don't know if you have heard about Silhouette Studio.
Right, the vinyl cutter, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only the vinyl cutter, so it comes with a really very user-friendly design program, and a lot of people who has Silhouette basically is buying Glowforge. And actually, every year there's a huge event here in Georgia. There is around 500 people. We got together all about all things Silhouette, and now we're bringing a Glowforge as a demo to show them how we can do with the machine. I don't know if you knew about this.
No, that's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, we move not my Glowforge because I don't want to move it out of my house, honestly. I want to keep it as safe as I possibly can. But one of my other friends, she bring her Glowforge, and we do a huge class demonstrating how you can design using Silhouette Studio, and then basically cutting it with Glowforge. So I see every month, and we have a big group. It's called in Facebook. It's called Glowforge for Crafters, and a lot of people basically, we just tell them ideas how to create things for any event or anything that they want to create. And the main goal of this group is basically teaching them how to use the Silhouette Studio to design, just to cut it through the machine. So they have become super like independent, like they need one another, which is really interesting. I don't know if you know that we're using Silhouette with a Glowforge.
I have heard that from 1 or 2 other people. Certainly, I've heard of that Glowforge for Crafters group just recently. That's popped up on my radar. So is that getting pretty big?
It's getting big. It's getting really big. And I think it's because since we bring the machine to the conference every year, people just want it every time. I mean, I have to say, we share our discount, and people, I can see people buying it from us because they really, they love the machine, and it's like such a huge compliment to each other. It's super easy. The software the Silhouette Studio is super easy to design with. You don't have to go super complicated with like Illustrator and all these difficult software that if you're not a graphic designer or anybody who have the high education, you can have a Glowforge. With Silhouette Studio, everybody can, because everybody can learn studio design and code with the machine.
I see Carol in
That's
chat is
amazing.
saying she also uses Silhouette Design Pro to do her designs. So, well, thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. And I'll tell you a Glowforge story, which is in the earliest days, one of our investors, a friend of mine named Renee DeResta, said that she was an investor with O'Reilly Alphatech Ventures. And she said that time after time, she would see people coming in with a 3D printer invention, all excited about the maker movement and how people were 3D printing, not knowing that people using Silhouette and Cricut and vinyl cutters outnumbered the 3D printer owners more than 10 to 1. That notion of being able to cut things in 2D and then fabricate 3D things out of them was part of what led to Glowforge. We talked about what if your Silhouette could make furniture, and that idea that making would go all the way from the engineering tech professional who'd be able to use the laser to create incredibly complicated 3D products, all the way to the simplest drawing that could be transformed into something out of wood or leather or fabric, acrylic or the like, was part of what brought Glowforge to the fore in the first place. Bailey, why don't you call on somebody else while I turn around and briefly fix the form, which is, I understand, is now requiring you to say you're a healthcare professional.
Yes.
Which I will fix in just a moment. I'll be right back. I'm listening.
Great. Okay, let's see. I will go over to attendees. Juliet, I'm gonna turn Marjorie, I'm gonna disable talking, and Juliet allowed to talk. You have to unmute yourself as well, Juliet.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Yes.
Thank you so much for hosting this. I am really appreciative of being stuck at home and everything. So my question is, I'm a fine artist and I primarily use my Glowforge for all of my artwork that I had just started to show in galleries and everything, which was very
That's so neat.
I love it. So, however, now I kind of have to put things on hold because I got my 2 kids at home. They're both elementary school age, and I can't focus as much on my art career. So I'm kind of shifting towards the educational sphere. And I was wondering if you have any recommended resources for elementary school age kids, because I would love to bring them into the Glowforge world.
Is this a setup?
Try
This
not.
suspiciously well-timed question. I have a couple answers for you.
Okay.
So the first one, which is very broad and doesn't go directly to your question, is that glowforge.com/ what is it, Bailey? What's the address for education?
So it's, let me make sure. We've got a couple. Are you meaning the main landing page that has the EDU videos and everything? Okay, let me just make sure I get the right one.
So we'll pull that up, and it's a page where you can sign up and say that you're an educator interested in learning how to use the Glowforge in education. We're working on some curricula and the like. We actually just brought on somebody to lead our outreach to schools and education. As a side note, this has been amazing because, I mean, you may know my history. Glowforge came about because I was building a board game at home with my kids to teach them the fundamentals of programming called Robot Turtles. And it was during prototyping for that I discovered CNC laser technology and said, it is unfair that I'm the only person who has access to this magic. It is unfair that in order to use it, I have to learn to use this monstrous beast that cost more than $10,000 and was incredibly difficult. All this, I want the magic of this for everybody without having the hardware of the day. And so that notion of educating kids about science and technology is near and dear to my heart. My twins, my daughter you saw come in earlier, are 11 years old, they're in 5th grade, and learning how to give them the benefits of technology, whatever they do. I don't care if they're dancers or engineers. I want them to have access to technology in order to pursue what they love. And Glowforge has had that from the beginning, but we didn't have the resources to go reach out to schools. So I'm really excited. We just brought on board Melissa Smith, who is joining us to lead our connection to schools, and that's preparing curricula, that's putting together education plans, that's talking with teachers and principals all over, and school districts all over the country. So you can go to that page that Bailey is about to tell us the address.
Oh, yes, we were thinking way too hard. It's glowforge.com/edu.
Okay, that's pretty straightforward, and you can sign up there. You'll see more coming, and then totally separately, not Glowforge specific. I've been working with my brother Ari to put together something called Shapiro School. So you go to shapiroschool.org, Again, that's a .org, not a .com. It's just going to redirect you to your YouTube channel where we actually have some really amazing teachers teaching classes to my 5th graders. And so they're both sitting, there's an assignment that you read ahead of time, and then they're both sitting there with a teacher learning about whatever it is. So the first teacher is Ari. He's the host of All Things Considered on NPR, talking about current events. Next teacher is going to be Anthony Roth Cardozo, who's, no, I got the last name wrong. Anyway, Anthony, who is a Grammy Award nominated opera singer, who's going to be doing music appreciation.
Oh, that's so cool.
And we have some really cool stuff coming up with amazing teachers that my kids are really lucky to be able to talk to, and you're going to be able to have your kids learn from too. So shapiroschool.org is the place to go for that.
That is absolutely wonderful. My kids are going to love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling in. Bailey, do we have some questions that folks have texted?
Oh, sure. Yes. I've been sort of trying to answer them on the side.
Oh, if you can answer those in text, that's great. Then let's call on somebody who's got their hands up.
Yes. Okay. So
I've
anybody want to raise their hand with a question? I'm looking now. Juliet, your hand's still up. Marjorie, I still see you. Katie Berryhill, talking. There you go.
Hi there.
Hi.
With my whole family, all makers.
Hi.
My husband used to be an Air Force navigator back in the days when they still taught celestial navigation. And so he's designed on the Glowforge, well, also partly 3D printed, a sextant. And I'm an astronomy professor, so our idea is to create a curriculum to teach people how to do that. Not many people know how to do it anymore. The Naval Academy had removed it from their curriculum and only recently realized, oh, wait a minute, if something were to happen to the GPS satellites, we kind of need people on the ships who know how to navigate, so they've started to rebuild the curriculum.
That's so cool.
Wow.
Is there somewhere, if we got that built up, that we could...
Absolutely. Send me an email, danshapiro@glowforge.com.
All right, will do. My son has a question too.
Well, not really a question, but I have a request for the software.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, I know one thing I've had problems with is if, like, I want to do an engraving on a larger piece, and I want to cut it out. I need to then go into another piece of software to just create a box, and all the exporting can get old. So I was wondering if in the Glowforge software there could be some like basic CAD, like a line, a rectangle, and a circle. So you could just, in the Glowforge software, just make a circle to cut out whatever you're doing, or something like that.
Thank you. That's a great suggestion. I will tell you the history of the Glowforge software package, which is that early on we said, we have enough staff to build a really great print experience so that you could take whatever design software we're using and create a wonderful, simple, easy to use experience to go take that design that you created in Adobe Illustrator or Cricut Studio or Inkscape or CAD software and print it. The thing that we don't have the resources to do is to go build design software from scratch, build something that, that has that functionality like Inkscape or Adobe Illustrator the like. We're always looking at that, is if there's some way that we could provide that. What we don't want to do is kind of do it halfway and throw in just a few things that are going to frustrate people when they start using that and then discover that they can't create all the things they want. So it's been sort of a delicate balancing act to try and figure that out, but it's really useful to hear feedback like yours about the cases where that would be helpful. And that's something that we'll give a lot of thought to. Thank you so much for letting us know about that.
No problem.
All right. All right, Katie, thank you.
I'll show off some of my random odds and ends. Oh,
Robert.
Some of you may have seen this
Ooh.
in various videos. What you may not have known is this is one of the first things I ever designed or made on an actual Glowforge. This isn't the first one, but it's the same design. I think you have in your free laser designs. It's the only thing in your free laser designs that I made. And because I saw a window and I was like, that window's really cool. I took a picture of it and then I looked at it and I'm like, it's just circles and lines. I can make circles and lines. So this is my pencil holder box. I actually have an entire Adobe Illustrator file. Let me see if I can bring this up. That is nothing except things that would make pencil boxes. And when I need, here we go. When I need something just sort of calming, what I'll do is grab a picture of a window and trace patterns on top of it. So this is the rose window from Notre Dame Cathedral. I don't know if you can see on my computer here. And let's see. This is a grate from a door, a metal door that I found in Thailand. And so I don't have any artistic skill, but just going and tracing these windows, these really cool geometric patterns, which then you can use for coasters, you can use for lamps. I have a lamp right up there that's one of these patterns. And it's just a really delightful way to make something when you don't have any particular skill. And by the way, I mentioned this before, it may not resolve for everybody today, it should come through tomorrow, but makecovidstop.org is a place where you can sign up that we can let you know if any medical professional needs access to your skills and making capabilities, or conversely, if you are a medical professional and would like to reach out and get help from makers, you can sign up there and let us know as well. What do we have next, Bailey?
Well, first, Dan, it's a little hard to hear you when you turn and face towards the computer. So let's just keep that in mind.
Oh, okay, great, thank you.
People are saying that in chat.
Hang on just a minute. Wait, do you hear this?
No.
Okay, well then that's not doing anybody any good at all, and I'll take off this computer.
Oh no. Are we maybe just using, I thought we were.
Must just be using the phone mic. Yeah.
Oh, that is too funny.
All right. Then I will keep facing you.
Okay, so I'm going to Robert Danforth. Go ahead and turn.
Robert!
To you.
RBT Danforth on the forum, I assume?
Hello, yes.
Hi.
I was wondering, years ago, I got into making jewelry and crafts and stuff like this in Tucson. And I literally, and later on in Miami, and I could make something and walk down the street and sell it for cash, and I was like making my own money. And I thought, I could get a Glowforge and I can do this again, because I've been doing it in the 3D virtual stuff. And then I go into the local sorry about that, I lose nouns every so often. But I go into the place and they say, well, no, we're part of this gigantic corporation that has like 80 sites, and we can't buy anything from you. You have to go see our buyer in China. And I've done this several times, and I've gotten that kind of result several times. And maybe it's just Tampa. I'm sure it would be different in Tucson. But to have and I thought of doing this years ago, actually, when I was in Miami, of if people who, in general, who are able to make stuff are generally very bad about marketing. I had a friend, worked for a big department store, and so he was really hot with marketing. And when he sat down to make sculptures and stuff, he made a fortune. And one of the things he just an example of my stupidity, he said, every time I make something, I made this, and it's sold. You may have even heard of him, Jim Luke. Does a lot of copper stuff. And he made a guy on a bicycle, and he sold it, and he sold thousands and thousands of, the guy on the bicycle, to the point he was sick of making the guy on the bicycle, but he kept selling them. And I met another one that figured out that if you drag something across the canvas, it looks like rain. So he made ships sailing away. Well, first he was having ships on all different ways, and ships sailing away in the rain was like a super good seller. And he kept doing all these little details at the back of it. Finally, he just did a rear cabin on them, so he didn't have to make all the people. But again, he hated it, and he was always making the same thing over and over again because he could sell it. But and I got in because I knew Jim for many years. There's some of my stuff that says, 1969D is because I actually made it and he sold it. But to build a structure where the marketing is done, not like Etsy, where you go in and you do all your own marketing, you just have a place to do it. And you have a standard thing that needs to be made. Somebody designed, and their name as a designer gets on it, but they can't make the hundreds or thousands they may be able to sell. And the business that got me in thinking along these lines too is 3M. 3M, you can't work for them unless you're a chemical engineer. You go in there and you do whatever your job is as a chemical engineer. And then part of the day you can play with their chemistry set. And if you come up with something, their classic case was the sticky notes. The guy came up, he had a glue that didn't stick very well.
I remember that story. That's like legendary in
that's the legendary story. But everything in 3M is that way. You go try to find something in 3M, and it's like wandering through a briar patch. It said, well, this branch over here went kind of in that direction, and there was another branch that went kind of a little bit closer in that direction. And you go all the way through trying to find the thing that you're looking for in 3M. They're a little disconcerted that way.
Robert, I feel like we know each other pretty well because we've been friends for probably years on the forum. And the problem that you talk about is real. The creativity and brilliance and genius of folks who own a Glowforge is unbelievable, and it's so hard to cut through the noise. And it gets even more challenging when, as you point out, so many businesses have had to pivot from, or have decided to pivot from working with local artists and creators and building things in the community to sourcing things from factories that are halfway around the world. And now with your Glowforge, you actually have the capability to be that factory. You have the capability to keep up with demand.
Exactly.
And so that problem that you're talking about, that's something I really want us to help with. I want us to find a way that we can go help designers and creators and engineers and artists realize the value from their designs. I think now more than ever, we're going to have people who are working from home, people who are creating from home, who are designing.
That was my other thought, was that, this is the perfect, everybody is forced into this.
Yeah. And now is the time when creating something personal, creating something special is more relevant than ever. I mean, I don't know about you, but it used to be I could go order something on Amazon and it'd be here the next day, and that's no longer the case. And so when there's something that we need for the house, like this webcam stand, it's actually a lot more practical for me to make it myself than it is for me to order it from somewhere halfway around the world. And I don't see that changing anytime in the next few weeks. So we all do have a superpower with our ability to create things here from home where we're at. And I think that's going to be something ever more valuable in the days to come. Robert, thank you.
Yeah.
It's great to actually get to talk to you, not just type in the forum.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I didn't even realize you know who I was.
Me too.
I saw a question pop up in
Yes.
chat that I want to take a minute on about Braille.
Oh,
We
yeah.
actually have two different mechanisms for Braille that we've had people developing. They're both incredible. I don't know if either one's documented in a forum yet, but a friend of mine who's the head of accessible design at Adobe, Matt May, came up with a way that you can actually use an engraving on the Glowforge to punch paper cards so that you can turn a business card into a Braille card, so that you can create a whole set of Braille cards from one single engraving. And then separately, our team's been working on 3D engraves to go engrave Braille directly onto materials. I don't know if we have any online resources about that right now, Bailey. I know it's something that we've been working on figuring out what the right way to get the word out is. I'm not sure if those are finished and ready for prime time or still in the prototyping stage.
Yeah,
Bailey, do you happen to know?
I don't know. I haven't seen those published.
Okay. I'll check into that, and
Yeah.
if we get something, we'll post it in the forum so you can search for Braille to find it.
We've got a bunch of hands up. I see Micah. Micah, I'm going to go ahead and allow to talk. There you go.
Hello?
And you need to unmute once you've been chosen to talk. Oh, by the way, I noticed Marlo is in the chat, so everybody knows she is a Glowforge employee as well, and you can take anything she says as gospel.
Oh, sorry, Michael, you'll be next. This is Zoom Room.
All right.
This is Jessica from Graphics Cut.
Hi.
I just wanted to actually tell people about something that has helped me with my business.
Oh.
Lynn.com, if everybody knows that. You can pay $20 a month for all of their material, or you can actually go to your local library website and get a free login and password and not pay anything for it. I use it all the time when I'm stuck on any software or any problem.
Jessica, what was that website again?
It's lynn.com, but you have to go to your local library and use the local library and use your library card.
Got it.
Lib.com.
I have another great one too. Creativebug.com also has classes, including, I think they have or they're about to shoot introductory Glowforge classes.
What?
And they also have some libraries where that's available for free. So Linda and Creativebug are both good options. All right. Thanks for coming to visit, sweetie. Bye. The twins.
All right. So Linda and Creativebug are those two resources. All right, wonderful. I'm gonna go ahead and
you ask people to spell websites when they're listed. Yes, I know that Creativebug, creativebug.com, and I think it's Linda, Linda.com.
Yeah, I just typed those into chat as well. Yeah, I couldn't hear her terribly well. All right, Micah, I'm going to turn your mic on now. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, it popped up that time. I was going through my settings. Where's the mute button?
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Greetings from Oklahoma, right in the middle.
Nice.
And thanks for waving, because I did, and then I realized I don't have a cam. Makes me feel a little better. I think my line of thought is along, I think it was Robert, as you said, Danforth or whatever the caller before last. I sell stuff locally, basically to friends, but then I get people messaging me through Facebook that says, oh, I know so-and-so that you made this for. And so I've done a few, word of mouth, I guess, is basically advertising. But just to have and I do have an Etsy page, but I don't post much on it because I'm kind of scared that I start getting a lot of stuff, and then I do have a job too. So, or I did until last week. But anyway, so I may start doing that more. But just having a place that you could put your things on as a community, but just have Glowforge stuff so it doesn't get lost in the hugeness that is Etsy. I'm not saying Glowforge wouldn't be huge, but just maybe having us a central space for all our makers to post their stuff in an Etsy type environment, might be a good suggestion for the future down the line for something for Glowforge.
That's a great idea. I know I've been doing a lot of shopping, patronizing Glowforge customers wherever I can find folks. There's a couple of threads, by the way, on the forum. If you have an Etsy shop, go look. There's a couple of threads where folks list all their Etsy shops, and just reply to one of those with your shop so I know to find it and our team knows to find it. I love shopping from Glowforge customers, not just supporting our own community, but because the stuff is amazing.
Right.
In fact, we've even started doing weekly giveaways of Glowforge made things to our employees. So I've given away an amazing leather satchel. I've given away, what were some of the other ones, Bailey?
There was that the carved fantasy map kind of.
Oh yeah, the Middle Earth map.
There was some earrings a couple
earrings
weeks
from
ago.
Hawaii. Yeah, and so I've probably been doing one of those a week, even now in quarantine. Still ordering them at house, taking pictures, giving them away to employees, and it is just so terrific. So I love that idea, finding a central place where we can pull those together and helping people who have the creative side and want to have support with the marketing side. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, that was the tie-in with the Mr. Danforth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great idea. All right,
So
thank
much.
you. Okay, any more hands? I'm kind of looking at questions in a popular thing that I've seen a couple of people ask about. It looks like we've got a few brand new Glowforge owners in the chat, and they're just asking,
Welcome.
what's the best design software to sort of dive in, easiest to use, you know, that whole question.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple. So if I was getting started with a Glowforge, a brand new Glowforge from zero, here's what I do. First, I go through the 3 tutorials. We worked really hard to make sure that those 3 things were easy to make, and that when you're done, you would have your core basic creative superpowers set. They're going to take you through Inkscape, which is absolutely free software, and they're going to show you step by step how to create something with just a really simple set of tools, with picture, line, drawings. And with that, you can make an incredible amount of things. So go through those 3 tutorials, and you will be instant amateur level at Glowforge creation. Then I would go into the forum and I would grab some of the free laser designs out of there. Not just because they're amazing to print and create, which they are, but because they give you a sense of some of the different kinds of things you can create and what they look like when they're created. And from there, I decide which design tool I want to invest in, and I look at a few options. The biggest ones, I'd say the most popular ones are, we know the most popular ones are Adobe Illustrator and Inkscape. Adobe Illustrator is from the same folks who make Photoshop. It is very powerful and very overwhelming. There's a lot that's going on there. Inkscape is free software with similar functionality, and it is also a lot going on. It's also somewhat challenging to learn. They both have copious amounts of free resources, and frankly, you can do anything in either one. So if you already know how to use one or the other, you should probably start there. If you don't know how to use either, Inkscape is a great way to get started. I think they recently improved their Mac version. Inkscape used to be really slow on a Mac, and I think they've improved that as well. So at the office, we have about an even split of Inkscape and Adobe Illustrator. Now that said, if there's other software you want to use, of course you can use Photoshop to create designs that you can engrave. There's also vector support in Photoshop, so you can create cut lines. Because remember, you can engrave images like JPEGs and photos, but you can only cut vectors. You can cut or engrave vectors. And Photoshop, Illustrator, Inkscape, those will let you combine them. Then the last thing is, if you know how to use CAD software and you are skilled at computer-aided 3D design, then you can actually use your CAD software, export it as a PDF or as an SVG, and then you can make really amazing 3D things. So it turns out I have an example of this from 2 weeks ago. A friend of mine, who goes by Taylor Tries on Instagram, and I highly recommend giving her a follow, is a world-class juggler. And her whole Instagram feed is her learning to do different stuff. And she was interested in the Glowforge, and she offhandedly said, I wonder if I could make juggling balls. And I said, okay, right now I'm gonna spend 1 hour and see if I can make juggling balls, take this challenge up. Which was kind of cheating because I do know how to use CAD software. And so all I did was I made a sphere in CAD software, and then I used Fusion 360 for this, and literally the best Fusion 360 tutorials on the internet on the Glowforge forum. So go to the Glowforge forum. Some of the Fusion 360 staff created tutorials for us. They created Glowforge plugins for Fusion 360. So you're getting the wisdom of the Autodesk team to go do this. And then there's something called Slicer, I think it's called. And it takes your sphere and turns it into slices. And I had these in less than an hour, and I'm not a very good juggler, but you get the idea. I actually juggle pretty well, just not when you're on,
I've heard that 4 balls is easier than 3. My dad was super
that is lies.
Not true? Okay.
Absolute lies. 2 balls is easier than 3. 4, oh man, I tried.
That a whole nother level. All right.
Yeah. And then the last thing I would say is you can use software like PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, Slides. It's great to get started. It's fun to mess around with, but it's a little bit of a creative dead end. You're not going to find yourself able to make the most detailed and creative designs. So if I was a Glowforge owner, I wouldn't invest in doing those, except maybe as demonstrations for other people or as a way to get started. I'd jump right into something like Inkscape and build some tools that you'll be able to use for years to come.
Okay, shall we have another caller? This is fun. I feel like we could have a radio show. Brian Powell. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the mic.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? This is
welcome to my basement.
Brian from right outside of Pittsburgh. So glad that you're taking my call. I want to thank you very much for being able to put together a very quality machine that is user-friendly. And I was a part of the tech shop makerspace group that really got me into this particular space. And I, as well as my son, were pretty much not necessarily devastated, but really disheartened about the makerspace tech shop going away. But needless to say, we got turned on by 3D printers as well as 3D cutting machines, Trotec, things of that nature. Trotec makes a good machine, but the user friendliness of it was something that I guess could be improved overall. So I'm glad that you were able to deploy a machine that was user friendly. It is quality. It exceeded my expectations. A question for you, because I am a mechanical engineer. The question is that what was the biggest challenge that you had in the development and deployment of this machine? I see you holding your head in your hands, so probably many challenges.
I think it was pretty easy, right, Tanya?
Because at the end of the day, this is a quality machine. This is something I would expect out of Apple, okay? The user interface is something that is very inviting. You have an ecosystem that's out there. And I know this just doesn't happen on a whim. It's something that is as a result of a number of efforts involving a number of people. I know it's a very long-winded question. Help me out here.
No, I love it. As an engineer by training myself, it's something I love to geek out about. I'll tell you what, let's play a game. Pick anything about the Glowforge, any part, electrical and mechanical, and I will tell you some disaster that happened that we had to go fix with it.
Okay.
Yeah. What part are you most curious about?
Wow. How about just the fit and finish? Open the door. It always closes nice and slowly.
Okay.
You don't see any gaps in the around the surfaces. If this was something that was just 2 inches by 2 inches, okay, but it's not. It is a huge machine, and the quality of the machine, the interface dimensional accuracy is really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, did we ever have challenges with that? I'll just give you a few tidbits. We wound up with parts that fit perfectly at the plastics manufacturer. So plastics are shot in the U.S., shipped to the factory, and then assembled. And they fit at the factory. They didn't fit when they arrived. It turned out that because it's so big, the cooling process hadn't finished, and they would continue to warp while in shipping. And so every Glowforge case has to be shipped with spacers in it, so that when it arrives, they can shoot it, ship it. Shooting is the term for injection molding the plastic, and then it arrives dimensionally stable and all the parts fit. You'll also note if you open your lower door, you're going to see little white, very subtle little white things on the right and left side. Mark, my co-founder, and I were at the factory sitting there going, oh my gosh, like the doors are scraping and then they're loose and we can't get it. We finally wound up with Teflon coated adhesive backing on there so that when you push it in, there's this really nice slide chunk. This is the lower door to go in and out in order to make that work. That was a whole nother nightmare, and sourcing those was a pain in the neck. Final bonus challenge that we went through was finding the press that could do it. So here's the way I explain the press. So injection molding works by squirting hot plastic into a cavity. So imagine something that is the shape of a rectangle minus a Glowforge. It's a rectangle with a Glowforge shaped hole in the middle. You squirt plastic into this. As a mechanical engineer, you know about this. The trick is, because the plastic we use is a custom formulation that's designed to resist heat, and it's designed with all sorts of additives that are designed to keep it stronger, it's really thick. So imagine that to squirt that plastic into the cavity, you have a syringe, and then the amount of pressure you have to put on the syringe is the amount that you get by putting a Boeing 747 on top of the syringe. And there's only, in all of Flextronics, one of the largest manufacturers in the world, they only have 7 presses this size. Wow. And they're generally only used for large-scale car parts. And then those large-scale car parts are usually the ones that are less dimensionally tolerant. So yeah, getting that case, that was an undertaking, making it safe, beautiful, fit and finish, and everything else. And I'm just starting
all of those. It is all of those things. Congratulations for being able to deploy a rather complex machine. And as what my son would normally say, and he's about 11 years old, he says, "Wow, something that is beautiful and simplistic on the surface, behind the scenes involves a whole lot of detail." And basically in those words, he says, "Yeah, it's a lot of complexity. You just don't necessarily see it, but everybody appreciates, and I do as well." Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Your son is wise. My twins are 11 as well. It's an incredible age. That's about the point where they get smarter than we
Yikes.
are. Who do we have next?
All right. We don't have any hands. Everyone's been chatting, running away. We've already spoken with Mike. Oh, Jules.
Jules.
Here you go.
How are you, Jules?
Wow. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can.
Great. I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
It's warm and comfortable in the basement, especially since I stole these lights from the office and put them down here. Nice and warm and toasty.
People in chat are saying, is this the famous Jules from the forum?
I recognize the voice.
The very one. I've been thinking about this thing. A lot of parents are going to be stuck at home with their kids and having a great time, no doubt. But I was thinking along the lines of, we've got a whole bunch of people out there with Glowforges who are very good at designing. Would it be something to think about to maybe create a little separate section of the forum where we put those people to work designing files that the kids can get involved with? Or have a separate section for the kids to show what they have made on the Glowforge, so that kind of to promote, they're getting involved with it and giving them something to do and learning. And anyway, that was it.
That's a great idea.
Well, there's not really a whole lot we can do from home, so it's been rough on everybody. And, I know that making masks and things is going to help a few people, but there are a whole lot of parents out there who have these machines and probably would like to have their kids get more involved with the Glowforge. So anyway, that was it.
Absolutely. No, Jules, you're so right. I mean, part of the reason, there was a point when I was playing around with the industrial laser in my garage where I invited folks to come by, entrepreneurs who I liked and respected, back in the old days when we could invite people over to our houses. And we'd play around with it, and I'd look and I'd say, "What do you make of this thing?" And they'd say, "I think you're insane for having it. What are you talking about?" And I was like, "No, but look, let me go engrave your logo on your laptop, or let me go and print you a business card holder." And they'd say, "Yeah, I mean, you're kind of insane for having this industrial machine. There's something really magical in there." And I was talking to Mark Goslin, our co-founder, and saying, is this a business? What could this be? And trying to talk myself into starting a company around this. But the moment that clicked for me was the one that I talked about in that email, when my kids came up and said, "Why can't we print our own iPad?"
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that we have the opportunity to raise a generation who has the tools to make things as their own. And that used to be every generation. It used to be that people understood you could make things yourself, and that's been gone. But it's really important to me that my kids know how to cook. It's really important to me that my kids know how to program. It's really important to me that my kids know how to make things for themselves. And I want that for everybody. It's part of the reason that we're launching our education initiative. There's actually an article about that in GeekWire. If you're curious, go to GeekWire, just search for GeekWire Glowforge education. You'll see about that. It's part of the reason we're now building school curricula, and I love the idea of making that official. I know the only hang up there, though, is that online communication that involves kids has a whole set of legal regulatory stuff that.
Oh, didn't think about that.
No, that's okay. It's our job too, and it's something that we can do and something we should do as part of reaching out to educators. It just means we'll need to be a little more careful about how. It means I can't go on and create a section of the forum right now and say go to it. But I'm gonna give a little thought to that. I also just going to give 2 plugs. One is that if you post right now, the stuff you're making, use the hashtag homemade in Free Laser Designs. It's an awesome place to share the stuff that we're making together. I shared the, I don't have the nice one. This was my prototype that my daughter painted purple and turned out sort of like not very visible. Because I had some yellow acrylic, but it's the hand washing station. I have some other odds and ends that I posted there. Normally I don't post stuff that's just like personal family, projects. But let's do that. Let's go put our random little homemade odds and ends in there so we can share them and inspire each other.
Well, I put a child-safe soap dish in there this morning or last night. So.
Well, I should print that up. That's great. And I love your kitchen stuff. Your knife block holder inspired me to make the one upstairs.
Maybe make a crayon block holder for the kids.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, they're now on to like watercolors and pour paints.
Not your kids. I mean,
yeah. My kids turn up their nose at
out there.
Yep. And then the other thing, I mentioned this earlier, but I'll put in the plug, which is my brother and I put together something called ShapiroSchool.org, where he's the host of All Things Considered. He's teaching my kids about current events and giving reading assignments as assigned so anybody can tune in and follow along. And now we're adding some other teachers. The first one that we've announced is a Grammy Award nominated opera singer who's going to be teaching music appreciation, and there's going to be some really cool teachers coming in. So if you do have kids at your home, you can go to ShapiroSchool.org, click subscribe, and you'll be able to see some of those come through.
Yeah, really I watched Ari's first lesson, and that's good for adults too.
Yeah. Fantastic. Jules, it is so great to talk to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, and Bailey, congrats on the wedding.
Oh, thank you. I just got my new driver's license in the mail. I'm doing the very arduous process of changing my name. So.
Oh, well, that's good. And now you can't go out and drive. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Nice to talk to you. Any more hands? See if there's anything interesting happening here in chat. Oh, all right, Brad, you are up.
Good afternoon from Minnesota. How are you guys?
Hi, Brad. Good.
Hey. Okay. I was actually born in Minneapolis. So.
Why are you a traitor and have left us?
Well, when I was 2 years old, my parents moved.
Oh, sure.
So,
blame your parents. There we go.
Right.
Blame your mother.
I lived in Fargo from age 2 to 12, and then Portland, Oregon is where
that makes up for it. Fargo is, yeah. Anyway, I have a question regarding the functionality for the pros.
Yeah.
So when I originally bought my Glowforge, and I don't use it a lot, so I'm not a heavy duty user like probably many of the people who are on here, but I did intentionally buy the Pro because of the pass-through slot and the ability to make things that were, wide enough but long. So one of the things that I would constructively criticize at this point is I feel like there's a gap in the functionality of the platform that bridges the lowest level and the medium level with the pro level. Like the software is great for those first 2 levels, but there's a missing component for the pros. So really my question is kind of what's the status of that? When I look at it from my non-engineering but problem solver mindset, one of the challenges that I think could be overcome for the pros would be if you could import a file that was larger than the printing bed platform. And then if you had a pro, it would recognize that you had a pro, and it would not say, well, if your design expands beyond the boundary of the printing box, that it can't be printed. So basically, every time I pull in something that's larger than that, it says there's nothing there to print. So if you had a pro, could you say, okay, well, yes, our normal status would be you couldn't print now, but because you're recognizing that you're bringing something in bigger, we're going to overcome that and then let you effectively migrate the file upward. So you could effectively create a virtual jig within the software by either putting in placeholders in your file and then kind of creating a jig that you would have in the system. So that's really my question. And I know it's a hard question to answer. And I know you guys have been working on kind of how do you bridge that gap, but I was just curious to get a status on that.
Yeah. pardon me. Early on, we decided we won't give any status until the status is it's ready for you to try. So it's something we're working hard at. It's something that is a pro owner myself, and I mean bought one with my own money and love it. It's something I can't wait to make easier. So there's already instructions for how to use a pro on the forum. I have links handy, but you can go through. Basically, you slice it in your design software into chunks and then just move it forward measured amounts. And we're looking at how we can use software to make that even better, just like you described. I think that's going to be transformative because having actually printed giant stuff with a pro using just the approach that we have already, it is magical when you can print full-size furniture, when you can print like bookshelves and large physical things. I have that half-finished pro print right back here behind. I don't think I can get it without knocking over the camera, so you have to take my word for it. But we've got some pretty neat stuff on the way, and stay tuned. But yeah, we'll make that slide even more useful for you soon.
Excellent. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Thanks, Brad. All right, Juliet.
Oh, somebody was asking about the fish tank. I'll show you I have a much prettier version that is for upstairs, but this is the one that the kids had at school that lasted a couple of generations. So, let's see. They had this at their school last year.
Love that
Base
one.
is hardwood in our one upstairs. This has their school logo and all that on it. But the idea is that the sea monkeys swim around here, and you can put a plant right in there. It looks pretty cool when it's all working. I think we've got time for one more. We've got 4 minutes left.
One more. Okay,
And then my
Juliet,
kids
your
get out of
hand
Sunday
is up
school. They're
again,
in
so I think
Sunday
we
school
have
via
another
Skype.
question. So I'm going to go ahead and turn your mic on.
Hello again.
Hello.
I have one more question before you leave. So I get 20 million questions about my Glowforge when I am out in the art world. Everybody wants to know how I made that thing, right?
Yeah.
So generally I've been kind of explaining the concept and then telling them about your website so they can go and check it out. Would you recommend me directing them to any more specific things besides just the website as an introduction to the Glowforge so they can investigate it for their own artistic purposes?
It sort of depends on the type of person. I would say if they're a super investigative type of person that wants to dig into every little corner, then maybe digging into the forum or something more visual like YouTube can be a treasure trove for people. I did want to say, I hope that you are sending them to our website with your referral code appended to Glowforge.com.
I think I'm going to put that on my business card, actually.
Yeah, I hope you're getting some credit because there are some customers, some owners who are doing a great job of getting the referral code out there. And I think it's also kind of like a feel-good action of introducing Glowforge to other people. So I hope you're taking advantage of that. But
yeah, I know we have customers who are getting 4-digit checks each month.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they're out there creating content around their Glowforge. They're making videos that show what they do. They're handing out those links and so on. And I want to be really clear. These people are doing amazing things for people to introduce them to it. This is not spamming links and all that sort of stuff.
Katie
Sometimes
says
have people
her son's YouTube channel that she was talking about earlier, Into the Woodshop, has sold 3 Glowforges so far.
Wow,
yeah,
that's amazing. And
yeah.
And I want to say because we do get questions about this. If somebody goes and just starts spamming the internet, we wind up turning off those referral codes so that they don't get those. So don't do that. But when you're sharing it with people and they actually learn about it from you, we want to send you that check. We want to thank you for introducing people to that. So what I usually do is 3 things. If they're just saying, what is it? Then I open up Instagram and look for the Glowforge hashtag. And I say, look, here's what somebody made 5 minutes ago. Here's what somebody made 7 minutes ago. Because you can see in real time what people are doing. And that helps them understand just how amazing it is. Then go to the Glowforge homepage, which you already talked about. And like Bailey said last, I'll take them to the forum and say, look, like no secrets here. You can see tech support questions. You can see FAQs, how to. And you can see that there's this incredible community of brilliant, creative folks who are doing things with their Glowforge that they never imagined. So I'm gonna have to go upstairs because my kids are just about to come off of they're doing Skype Sunday school and they're about to get over. So I'm gonna have to run. thank you so much for tuning in. As a reminder, you can go to makecovidstop.org, which will take you to a Google form, and you can sign up to either tell us that you're a healthcare professional who's interested in getting help from creators, or that you're a maker who wants to lend your skills to the problem. So far, we have some leads on ways that people could use their Glowforge to help with the COVID crisis. We don't have any projects yet that we know have a home with a hospital, but we think that's going to happen soon. So this is where you can sign up to either ask for help or to stay informed. And if you've got something that you created at home that you'd like to share, go to the Freelacer design section, tag it with, just put in the title, hashtag homemade, and we'll share what we're going to do. I'll throw the design for these juggling balls up right now. Thank you all so much for joining. We're gonna have to do this again. It was super fun, and I really appreciate everybody coming out. I'll leave the chat open when we're done. I think I can leave the chat open. Thanks all. Take care.
Thank you.